Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Day 260 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Yesterday, the Russian Defense Ministry decided to withdraw troops from Kherson to the eastern bank of the river Dnieper. The order was issued by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. A complete retreat is likely to take place within a few days, with the support of Russian artillery. The surrender of Kherson represents a potential turning point in the course of the Russian invasion. Surovikin said that the further resupply of the city was no longer possible. After a thorough reconnaissance of the current situation in the Kherson region, we decided to take up defensive positions on the left bank of the Dnieper. This decision was difficult, but we are guided first and foremost by the safety of our troops. These units will soon be used for active operations, including offensive ones, on other sections of the front. Russia had been evacuating civilians from Kherson for several weeks. According to Ukrainian intelligence findings, more than 100,000 people were taken out of the city. The evacuation ended on the eve of the decision to order the retreat of Russian forces from the city. Kiev remains skeptical about the Kremlin's actual intentions. These actions may indicate that the city is being prepared for street fighting. The media has been circulating information that gives a lot of joy, and it goes without saying why. But our emotions must be restrained because the war scenario is incalculable. Maybe what I'm saying is disappointing, but no one would give up a city for nothing. The enemy does not give us gifts, does not make goodwill gestures. Our successes are the result of heroic struggle. The occupation of Kherson guaranteed control over both the only land route to the Crimea Peninsula and the mouth of the Dnieper. The loss of the city would make it difficult for the Russians to maintain their forces on the west bank of the river and prevent the establishment of a land corridor to Odessa. Who among the commanders reveals their plans? It seems that if such an official announcement of withdrawal was agreed with the Ukrainians, after all, we know that these soldiers, who would cross using only ad hoc ferry and pontoon crossings, would be a very easy target for Ukrainian artillery. The Russians do not have the logistical means to defend the city. According to experts, Russia is now under intense pressure from the Ukrainian counteroffensive, and the decision to retreat was the best possible one. It is in Russia's interest at the moment to shorten the front, to withdraw troops from the western part of the area, which was previously occupied by Russian troops. Thus, we are dealing with a completely new situation. It can be said that this is the retreat of Russian troops from parts of Ukrainian territory. Meanwhile, according to the United States, the retreat from Kherson is due to the bad situation in which the Russian army finds itself. In addition, President Joe Biden said that the United States' aid to Ukraine will continue without interruption, despite Republicans' skepticism on the issue.
I found it interesting they waited till after the election to make that judgment, and which we knew for some time that they were going to be doing. And it's evidence of the fact that they have some real problems, the Russian military, number one. Number two, whether or not that leads to, at a minimum, it will lead to...
This opinion is also shared by the NATO Secretary General. Jens Stoltenberg said that Ukrainian forces should not celebrate yet, but exercise caution to avoid a possible ambush.
Unprecedented support that NATO allies, including Italy, has provided is making a difference on the battlefield every day and remains vital for the Ukrainian progress. We have taken note of the Russian announcement to retreat from Kherson. We have to see how the situation on the ground develops.
Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolak says that Russia wants to turn Kherson into a city of death. Russian soldiers are mining the area around the city. Meanwhile, Russian artillery is not stopping attacks on the left bank of the Dnieper River. Yesterday, in the Sejm, the Law and Justice Party presented a proposal to amend the constitution. Law and Justice proposes to abolish formal immunity for members of parliament and judges. A majority of 2/3 of the Sejm is required to make the change. However, such a majority may be difficult to obtain. Changes proposed by Law and Justice do not include substantive immunity, which protects parliamentarians and judges from being held accountable for performing their duties. The change goes in this direction, so that perpetrators of common crimes, whether members of parliament, senators or judges, can nevertheless be subject to criminal liability without the approval of the Sejm or without the approval of the disciplinary court in the case of judges. A majority of 2/3 of the votes is needed to pass the ruling party's proposed changes. However, this will not be an easy task. The Civil Platform Party is not saying no, but has indicated that it does not agree to take up the topic during the election campaign. I, for one, am not in favour of so-called formal immunity. You have committed a crime, then no immunity should protect you. But my intuition tells me that they have planned it to come out too close to an election campaign. Applicant MP Marek Ast dismisses these doubts, saying that the regulations voted for will not take effect until after next year's parliamentary election. Because if in fact there is a will on the part of the opposition to carry out such a change, then there is nothing to prevent it from being done now. The New Left, on the other hand, announces a tough veto. There is no agreement to sit down at the table with a grouping that is at odds with the Polish constitution. If the new measures come into force, politicians and judges will not be able to hide behind immunity. It would then be possible, for example, to hold accountable Senate Speaker Tomasz Grodzki, who is accused of corrupt acts he allegedly committed while he was head of the Szczecin Zdonovo hospital. The draft constitutional amendment will be dealt with during the next session of the Sejm, scheduled for next week. The proposal will be approved if 307 deputies support it. The next legislative step is the Senate, where an absolute majority is needed. Finally, the Speaker of the Sejm presents the law as passed to the President. The head of state then has 21 days in which to sign it. The Chief Executive Officer of Meta Platforms, Mark Zuckerberg, announced yesterday in a statement that he plans to lay off 13% of the workforce, or more than 11,000 people, because of the company's declining revenue and broader problems in the tech industry. This is the second such mass reduction this week after job losses at Elon Musk's Twitter.
At Meta, we're focused on building the fundamental technology that will help bring the metaverse to life, whether that's in virtual reality, augmented reality, or the social presence layer across both.
The mass layoffs are the first in Meta's 18-year history. The pandemic-led boom that boosted tech companies and their valuations has turned into a bust this year in the face of decades-high inflation and rapidly rising interest rates.
Clock struck midnight for Facebook. You're seeing significant growth challenges, and now they're cutting costs, especially with this metaverse strategy, which is a risky bet. And I think for Zuckerberg, this is going to be what I'll view as a moment of truth, how he navigates this. Facebook was spending like 1980s rock stars, and now growth has really come off significantly. The metaverse strategy continues to be an uphill battle. And in this macro environment, they're seeing a significant challenge from social media growth. And I think that fundamentally has really been the perfect storm for Zuckerberg and Facebook. I think this is the beginning of what's going to be much broader layoffs across Silicon Valley and tech. Some darker days ahead as this recession's on the doorstep.
The company also plans to cut discretionary spending and extend its hiring freeze through the first quarter. But it did not specify the impacted regions or the expected cost savings from the moves. Feats ranging from the most hula hoops spun simultaneously whilst on stilts to solving the most Rubik cubes while skatewalking were celebrated during this year's Guinness World Records Day today. With the theme of Super Skills, the 19th annual event has prompted people across the world to set new milestones for what is humanly possible. In London, 14-year-old contortionist Liberty Barros, who calls herself a flexi dancer, completed the fastest 20-metre backbend knee lock, bending her body backwards while walking the distance in 22 seconds.
I feel very excited, and I think I've got a lot of adrenaline rushing through me right now. Well, it's quite a long story, but it all started when I copied a move in a Rihanna video and ended up doing something like this.
Performance artist Mariam Oleyevola, also known as Amazi, broke the record for the most hula hoops spun simultaneously whilst on stilts. She skillfully twirled 25 hoops for the title.
The hoops came first. I've been hooping for absolutely ages, I think 9 years. And the stilts, I learnt this year. I'd say I started a lot more stilts in the last month or so.
Ben Nuttall, a 22-year-old professional soccer freestyler from Birmingham, broke the record for most crossovers in 1 minute, upping the previous record of 46 to 53.
Kind of used to like the nerves beforehand and stuff, but the feeling after is still the same, still amazing. Yeah, super happy. Yeah, so this record I just saw online. Someone sent it to me and I thought I might be able to break that. So I've only been practicing for around a month or so now for this specific record. But yeah, I've been practicing every day, I've been smashing it every time in my practice. So I knew today I just had to put it into action. So yeah, all good.
Also appearing at the certificate ceremony was British student and speed cubing champion George Sholey, who solved 500 Rubik cubes handed to him while skateboarding around a skateboard park. He also took the title of most Rubik cubes solved in 24 hours, completing an eye-watering 6,931 of them. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.